on this computer. Cool. I think we're recording. Cool. So let me share my screen and share my screen. Okay. So let me just sort of dive into what I sort of want to get your feedback on, and then I can sort of brush you up on where we are in our progress. How does that sound?
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool. So let's see where we're at. Started building. What I want to do is automate the registration process as much as possible. Because right now that seems to be the only thing that I can't automate. Because I can automate the deployment of the node, no problem. That was done like last week or a week before, whatever, you know. But like the node and I can copy the key store over and everything's good and it comes up, but it needs to be registered to be able to join anywhere. So what do you think is well, so, okay, where do I start with this? There's the whole process of getting a node registered is gonna, like, it needs to first it needs to be registered with through prep tools, but they first need a wallet, right? And so once they generate that wallet, then from there they need to enter it in. I'm sort of like brushing up on this as we go, but they need to grab that key store down, and they need to have a local copy. So assuming that they have the local copy of the key store with their password and whatnot, then everything from there can more or less be automated, right?
So you mean from getting connected to the main node, right? Or the main infrastructure?
Yeah, I mean, for main node, really this tool would be most useful for testnet, because we can generate a bunch of different key stores and register a bunch of different nodes automatically.
Yeah.
And so there's a testnet faucet, for instance, that once you have a different wallet, and I don't think there's anything you can do to automate the building of the wallets, you know, that should more or less be, you know, you just do that manual. You get, like, let's just say we want to deploy 25 different registered nodes, right? Or 100 or 50. We would need to manually go in and create 25 to 50 different wallets. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so those 25 to 50 different wallets would exist. They would all have a password. We'd all bring them down and we'd push them into some secret store somewhere, and we'd have access to them. And then after that, I want to run prep tools knowing that I have access to the key store and password, and basically do the registration process automatically. So what I wanted to ask your opinion on was, what do you think of using Docker for something like this?
We can use Docker or Ansible. I think Docker is also cool, but getting the secrets, are you thinking of using Vault or?
So we're getting the Vault cluster up. We got Console running right now as our internal DNS across all of our different VPCs. So there's going to be some movement around that. We still don't quite know what different VPCs are going to house what. Like Vault, for instance, should be next to Console in the same VPC, and we'll just set up some security groups, NACLs, or whatever, to lock down traffic to the Vault servers, specialized, to who only needs it, right? We have our services why don't we just do this real quick? I haven't talked to you for a minute about this, so let's just I'll just give you a quick update on where we're at.
Yeah, quick overview.
Yeah, so we've been working on all these different shell scripts that go through and they deploy all the modules. And so like we have different like network topologies that we're working on. And so there's the most basic one that is right up here. Would just be something as simple as a prep node and a private subnet with a citizen node running Nginx, right?
Yeah.
and then you would just open up the ports to the world. And then we built the Lambda function together to update the security groups on the gRPC port, which is more or less like a hacky firewall that works,
Mhm.
right? By the way, I think that Lambda function that you helped me out with, it's a little quirky to say the least, right? So I think that needs, well, we'll figure out I don't know, it works. It's the point. So I don't really want to spend any time on it, but it could be simplified. Like I think I took the wrong approach to that with Jinja and all that rendering.
Yeah. So the next diagram you did with the load balancer also, or
Yeah, so I got right now I've got a network load balancer going down, dividing to two different auto scaling groups. One is for citizen nodes, one is for the reverse proxies for the prep node.
Mhm.
And so that's where traffic is going to right now. And then on the prep node, I baked an AMI with Packer, and it runs that AMI on an auto scaling group. And I still haven't set the policies at all on that for
Yeah.
scaling policies, but it's basically an Nginx container that points to a internal DNS record that I register for the prep node. So
So it's just running the Nginx proxy, right?
yeah, it's running the Nginx proxy. It's where we integrated Packer with Terraform. So this is pretty sweet, dude. Check this out. Packer right here. This is the config. And all we just say is like what the name is and different things like that. We built and then this whole, so this right here triggers, I just built this tonight, like a couple hours ago. It triggers this. This is like the Terraform wrapper for it. And what it does is it clones some repos and then it builds based on a shell script that we built. So
Yeah.
here's the shell script. It basically builds, it's got a bunch of options to build the Packer images, and then those go up into here. And so you saw like right here, the AMI is still sticking around, or the EC2 instance. It builds the image and then pushes the AMI.
So it's building the AMI on your local and pushes to the EC2 console.
No, it builds the AMI on EC2 instances that it
Yeah.
runs on AWS, and then it hits it with Ansible playbooks. It's
Yeah.
pretty sweet, dude. Like,
Yeah.
check this out. So these are all the different playbooks that we're running. So we just list them right here. And I still got to dive into the logic because this is one of the engineers, one of our fellows that did this. Um, so we list the different roles that it wants to run, like Ansible hardening. This is taken from OpenStack. This is a pretty famous role that there's a lot of support for. And so we run this role and we just decide them right here, and then we can decide which roles we run from our playbooks, right? So we have a bunch of different options there. And then so basically the bash is wrapping all of that and running Packer the way we want to.
Yeah.
And then so from there it gets tagged. And then from there we can pull the AMI ID out of a data resource that we're building. So this is for the Sentry nodes right here. And so a pattern that we're developing right now is that we have a data folder, and then in there we have some arbitrary data references. Like this one right here is just pulling the AMI ID, right? And so we'll build in logic to be able to get the different distros, because we're building all kinds of distros. And I mean, there shouldn't be all kinds of distros. We're pretty much settling on Debian, by the way.
Yeah. Debian or Ubuntu.
Uh,
Maybe we should websites.
we're gonna stay away from Ubuntu.
Okay.
But that's well, we like that flavor, right? So we're gonna go with Debian.
Okay.
And then so we got the AMI ID, and then that AMI ID is referenced from an auto scaling group. We pull it in right here. So then we pull the AMI ID. That's part of the launch configuration for the auto scaling group, and well, it works right now. It's up. I just got this up like right before the call, and so in here, just go into auto scaling groups, and we have an auto scaling group of 1 instance.
Yeah.
And we'll build the policies for that later so we can scale. But that's the P rep right there. So that's the Sentry, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, cool.
So, and then that is pointing traffic down. So there's the Sentry auto scaling group, and it is pointing all the traffic down to the P rep based on a DNS record that we set right here. Oh, this got committed. Well, there's a DNS record, and it's resolving right now. Let's just say that. At this point,
The private DNS record, right?
was that?
The private DNS record, right?
It's a private DNS record. Yeah, exactly. Within the VPC. Yeah, and so that resolves based on like 4N dots or something like that to like prep dot region US East whatever dot, and then the domain as well. No, I think it's 5 dots actually. I think it's prep dot. Well, what we're gonna do actually, I think. Sorry, I'm all over the place. It's something, some ordered scheme of like prep dot like environment dot region dot your domain name, and so that should give a unique qualifier to the prep.
Yeah.
You can do. And then we even need, well, we're going to need even more than that, because I'll be honest, like what I want to be able to do is have multiple preps running at the same time. And then not that at the same time, well, when I want to do maintenance and I want to do like switch over preps or something like that, let's just say I want to upgrade an instance or something like that, I can do it from the DNS record. And so I'll just point to a new instance, and then that's how I can maintain, I can keep 100% uptime, right?
Yeah, that's the beauty of DNS.
And so we have a DNS record in now, and that's how the sentries are now going to be referencing that DNS record. And they resolved last night, let's just say that, so it's working. We're like, I think next week, this should all be running perfectly fine. And we're going to run one of these auto scaling groups on testnet. And then we ran Locust on our Kubernetes services cluster. Are you familiar with Locust?
Yeah. But last time you showed me a demo, right? For running some task and writing some Python script.
No, that's Airflow.
Oh, yeah.
So Locust is a load testing tool. So we're gonna hit our endpoints with load, and we're gonna spin up like a giant, like 50 node, 100 node cluster, and blast our endpoint and see if it stays up. So generate like 100,000 requests per second, like a sort of small DDoS attack or something like that, and like DOS ourselves real quick and see what happens, So that's where we're at. I think that sort of covers.
And about the DDoS things, I see the EC2-DDoS folder over there. Is there any of it? Or?
Yeah, a lot of this stuff is fragments from the past. Like we were wondering what to do with certain things. So what you're referencing is this. This was, what this was is we had different fellows working on things at the same time. And so I just replicated the configurations. Both of these folders are probably going to get this is trash. I just don't know if anybody's using it right now. I don't think anybody's using it. I'm pretty sure I can delete this.
Yeah.
And so we're also building, we're in the middle of a lot of things. This is going to change massively. Like this was really just to sort of get us going. We know we needed environments. And we started laying out this sort of region group module. different layered topology for how we're referencing everything. We threw some things in global and everything like that, which is the proper way of doing it. But really, I think this whole layout is going to be separated into more functions based groupings. So have
Yeah,
like,
in that, I think we should do some way of passing variables for the region also. Like
yeah.
I see there is everywhere US East 1, but I prefer more for US West 2
Yeah.
because it's kind of more stable as I've already the Oregon region.
Well, this is all
So
for testing, right? And
yeah,
so what I did for that was just get to it real quick. Um, what I did for that was the region is within the cookie cutter. It's a variable, right? So when you run this, when we start distributing this stuff out to different people, like even you guys, like you are a pro user, right? You're gonna get all the tops that you're gonna run a Kubernetes cluster. You're gonna get all basically the same stuff that we're running because you're competent enough to be able to use it, right? Like we'll distribute all of basically what these shell scripts are. So get this shell script. So this shell script is just like maybe half of what we're running, but it's really just functional based to kind of get us like what we need to be. We don't even have citizen nodes in here, right? But this is just enough to get us going, right? For this thing that we're building. There's probably going to be like twice as many of these modules that are going to be handpicked out for like the pro configuration. That's going to be looking like this. It's actually not going to look like this. It's going to be even more badass. So after this is all. I'll tell you about this later, but remind me to tell you about the application load balancer and web application firewall.
okay.
There's going to be twice as many of these modules, but most of these modules don't reference US East, right? And so when I actually pick out one of these cookie cutters that I'm going to give you or somebody else, right, it's going to have that all abstracted out.
Yeah, I remember. Good to reach.
And that's critical for building out these different configurations when we try to roll this out for different test nets, because we're going to want to run nodes in every single region / availability zone. So we need to make sure that it's all dynamic all the way from the generation. And so right now I'm putting together like a massive proposal. I'm just like, I don't know how long it's going to take me to finish, but like I'm pseudo coding everything out to build a CLI tool to generate all the configurations that you need to run like 50 nodes and 50 availability zones and have them all register automatically. That's the key. So like right now, sort of get back to what I wanted your opinion on some of this. Like we can I mean, we have a lot to talk about here, but you know, let's stay here before we get back to the auto registration. Do you have any more questions on this?
No, no.
I
It's
mean,
literally.
yeah, it's basically we have this giant flat structure right now. We're going to do a massive reorg in about a week or two once we have a good cookie cutter pulled out of here that we feel confident has the DDoS protection and is a very solid node configuration. We're going to lift that out, put it on cookie cutter, and try to really get other node operators to adopt that, or at least a version of that that serves as their DDoS protection, that has like a tunnel that goes down into whatever provider they have, be it GCP or some bare metal instance, whatever, you know, just to have that layer between that, like basically this whole thing, except for the prep node, and have the prep node basically be a pointer down to, like it's all it is basically pointing a DNS record down to where their you would put actually just some Nginx right here, and then you would just point that down to
Citizen.
no to their bare metal data center, And then
Oh,
their data center, they would have like a firewall or something. We would build a tunnel. I haven't dug into that. I haven't done anything thinking of that. There's a tunnel that we can build
yeah.
to access anything. So all of this stuff here basically stays on AWS, and everybody can adopt it really fast. And then we'll have like a central place that you have no excuse to not run DDoS protection. And so right before I leave this topic, the next place that we're going with this is, now that we have the network load balancer, we got our Sentry nodes, that is then going to kick over to an application load balancer, put a web application firewall on that, and then it's going to kick it up to L7 and then back down to the prep node with an Nginx proxy to get the addressing right.
Yeah.
So
Got it.
that'll give us, like, that's banking level of security right there.
But so the network load balancer will be exposed to the external world, right? Not the application load balancer.
Wait, the network load balancer is what? I'm sorry, it's exposed to the outside world?
Yeah.
Yeah, on port 9000.
And the application load balancer is not exposed to the external world, or it's exposed to the remaining few of the IPs that we operate from the Lambda function.
So that comes back to the Lambda function that we built, and just firewalls in general. It depends on what we want to run in front of that, right? But we should be running some kind of NACL to be able to only accept requests from the whitelisted set of IPs.
Okay.
So we built that. That's only going to handle the gRPC rules for the accepted preps, basically.
Yeah.
And then port 9000 is just open to the world, I'm guessing, and we'll just put that's the problem with all of this, is that, like, if we're going to get DOSed, we need something in front of these citizen nodes, I feel like. And so these citizen nodes should be on layer 7 real soon. And so eventually what we should be doing is, instead of running these citizen nodes here, we run these citizen nodes behind a web application firewall and just do it that way, or run citizen nodes with rate limiting Nginx proxies on the nodes themselves. And that's how we have it configured right now.
Yeah. The citizen node will also be auto scaling, right? So we can use ALB.
Yeah. Well,
ALB, and then traffic is forwarded from the network load balancer through the reverse proxy or the Sentry proxy, and then to the ALB, and then to the auto scaling group, right?
Yeah, that's the next configuration we're building after this. So this is representative. Well, I guess this is really what it is. This is where we're at right now. If this was one node, we just have one node. We actually, where we are is, sorry, this and this don't even exist. We don't even run like this. We're running one citizen node just for the prep, and that's it. Like, there's no point in exposing the citizen node, really.
Yeah.
So it's outbound only, and then it has ingress from the prep.
Yeah.
And that should cover it. And you can run a small instance on that citizen node too. I think that's the cheapest way to run it. What's the point? Like, what's the point of running a citizen node? Like, we're gonna make citizen nodes. Like, I'm gonna teach my mom to run a citizen node. I'm serious. My mom, we have regular Gmail technical sessions. She doesn't know how to do shit, but like I mean, I think I can, like, the hardest part about getting her to run a citizen node is getting her to install Python. But like, I think I could tell her how to install Python, and then I think from there I can just tell her, I could just be like, run this command, and she'll just, like, But I mean, and my point is that like everybody and their mother can run a citizen node, and that's how we need to make it, you know. And so what incentives there are to run citizen nodes, I'm not exactly sure, but in a decentralized world, we'll sort of figure that out. And we're making it
Yeah.
one click, right? So I don't know. Like, well, we can incentivize people to run citizen nodes. We'll run citizen nodes for sure for the network. We'll probably put, you know, your team and my team, whoever, I don't know. We can run like clusters of citizen nodes. It'd be like everybody is slacking on the citizen node front. We have auto scaling groups that are handling capacity, you know, but, you know, that kind of stuff, you know, but as P reps themselves, it's just important to maybe run one citizen node to keep that light on or whatever on the tracker, you know, but really like there's no, like when you drill down into it, there's no real incentive to run a citizen node, right?
I'm also not sure of running the season though, because last time I had discussion with the iBriz guys, and it was like it's just sort of type of backup. So if there is problem on the rep node or on our side, then we can get the latest data from the season nodes as quickly as we can.
Yeah.
Also for solving data to the external world, which I don't know if that makes sense or not, to run or use or to run like few of the EC2 instances or keep it inside the every scaling group. I don't know why is that.
Well, let's blast. Let's see if this works. Let's run it on testnet, right? But like, and we'll build in the configuration to be able to handle like a cluster of citizen nodes or a single. Like right now, yeah, forget about this DDoS and monitoring is bullshit. We're baking all the monitoring into the configuration. We're taking everything out of user data and baking it into AMIs through Ansible. And we got the slickest setup. I'm super stoked on our setup for baking AMIs. It's really awesome that like this is, I mean, just to show you, I'm sorry I'm bragging right now, but this is going to be awesome. You're going to really appreciate this. This is how we bake the AMIs. That's it. And then there's like some configuration settings that we set, but we have all the logic baked in, you know, worked out into the bash scripting. So it's pretty sick, dude.
There's separate repo for Packer, right?
What's that? I'm sorry.
There is separate repo for Packer, right? For the Packer, so like what is installed on Debian or the Ansible and the Packer stops are on a separate repo.
Yeah, it's all, well, it's, yeah, the Packer is all a module right here. This is all the Packer stuff right here.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Cool.
And it runs all these playbooks.
Yeah. You already showed.
I'm stoked on this tool right here. This is awesome. Anyways, so yeah, I don't know. We're building and we're putting stuff together, and
Yeah, it's getting tidy. Like lots of resources have been changed, and you have been having lots of resources also, and yeah, it's going really good.
yeah. So let me focus on one of the biggest things that I want to be doing with this whole thing is getting the everything automated in testnet. So I want to run, like I want to write one config file and run 50 nodes with different configurations and do all this kind of cool stuff. But to do that, I need to register all of them. So
Yeah.
what do you think? Like, what's your thoughts on this? Because like Docker, like I want my mom to run this, and you for my mom to run this, she has a Windows machine. This is so stupid that I'm saying this, but like it's real.
That's normal.
Yeah, I'm thinking about this. Like, there's some node operators who are definitely smarter than my mom, but like we need to make it that simple, right? Because if we're gonna have everybody run different nodes all over the place, you know, in a decentralized context, that's the simplification we need to be going after. So, can my mom run Docker? No, I think actually my mom can't run Docker. Like, I think my mom struggles with running Python. You know. And I'm thinking like that's like the limit, right? But I don't know, like maybe what my mom can do is run, what do you think of this, of running a Fargate task?
Running on Fargate is also good, but it's kind of costly.
Well, it's just a one-time little Fargate, like run one container in the cloud, boom. You know, it's not like it's not costly for just the one-off, you know,
Yeah, for one it's
or
less.
even on a cron job, you know.
So let me can you give me a bit of familiarity with this because I am confused. Like for the connection to the mainnet, we are running this Docker for the testnet, right? I'm a bit confused on the
Yeah,
context.
yeah. Well,
So,
yeah. I mean, you have to register every single node that comes on.
so what's the point of running it on the separately on the Fargate and running off all of the other
Well,
infrastructures on
no,
the
nothing's gonna. Okay, so to be clear, the node is not running on Fargate. The registration part will run on Fargate. So just running the Docker file, and then we run a manifest. We write a manifest to be able to run the Docker file.
So we need each Docker running there for the
We just
registration for each of
yeah,
the node.
yeah. So check it out. So Docker run. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So Docker run -it, right? Prep tools, and here it just gives me the output. So now I can pipe whatever commands I want in the Docker run. You know, because I built the container. So. So it's just running all of this, and
So these registers are single node, right?
what's that?
For the this is for the registration of a single node we are running.
It's for registering one node exactly. So do you know? Did your team build the faucet, by the way, or a faucet?
Sorry. I don't think so.
Okay, there's some team that built the faucet. Maybe I need. We. It's. I need to interact with that. I feel like, but like I just wanted to get your take because you're a smart dude. What do you
So let me clear the context because I've not been that much dealing on it. So we run this Docker and then we register, right? And the registration is only for the single node or for the whole nodes that are running behind.
It needs to run for like it needs we need to register every single node that comes up. So like for 50 node
So
50 registrations.
so we need to run separate 50 Docker or the single Docker for registration of the 50 nodes.
And that's what I'm sort of trying to figure out. Like I mean, it doesn't matter. Like I can template this out and have it be like push. I can push this Docker image to Docker Hub, right? And then it can just run. I can pull that image down from Fargate and just run it, or I can build this into a Lambda function and do it that way, or like I can build a like do you think I could build a script maybe that just like makes this stupid simple that like if you have Python installed,
Yeah, I think
there's a
I
lot
don't
of
think.
dependencies in here. I'm worried about people. I'm worried about the dependencies.
I think a simple Python script running for like the registration of a node. I think if we can do that, like just run a cron job for the Python script, and the Python just registers how much or what are the nodes running behind us, and then takes the registration or handles the registration.
Yeah.
Because running this Docker doesn't make sense. But for at first we have to confirm like a single Docker can register all of the nodes running behind, or we need each Docker. Because if there is a single Docker can handle that, then we can run it on target. This will be quicker and it will just once.
And you're cutting in and out a little bit. Can you repeat that last part?
So after the confirmation, like, do we need to run a separate Docker instance for registration of the each node, like each Docker for each node registration,
No,
or
no,
separate
we can run them all on the same instance. But like I'm just like to be very clear, I'm worried about. I'm not worried, but like I want to make this like into something that's either run on like Lambda or Fargate or some sort of managed service or something like that, where it sort of decouples the configuration a little bit, and you just sort of run it through Terraform or something. It
No,
doesn't matter, you
I
know.
don't think I don't think Fargate or the Docker would need it that much for that this task for the registration part. So I think we can run just a lambda function in there, because adding a Docker override over here is, I don't think that makes sense, right?
Well, the Lambda function though, like if you look at these dependencies in here, it needs like this library, and Lambda doesn't have that, and you can't even install it, you know? So I think actually I take it back. I think Lambda is actually sort of out of the question on this, but it, you know,
Okay. So
I think
it's like,
honestly, what as I was describing this to you, I talked myself into Fargate because there really isn't any other way to sort of do this other than sort of running maybe an EC2 instance and just like, hey, spit off like a batch job or something like that. I don't know. There's got to be like, is there any way to just like fire off a Docker image so that my mom doesn't have to install Docker?
I don't think so.
I'm gonna keep on putting this back to my mom, but like it's really like the target audience. I want my mom to run nodes. Like I'm really passionate about that.
As this is a official or the general requirement for running the Docker, like these packages you're saying, so that's what we should lambda. So we have to run Docker.
Yeah,
Either run
I gotta go down to something.
yeah, Fargate is yeah, we can try on Fargate then, because running it on EC2 will be like whether EC2 understand or stuff like that. So it will be bit of less overhead running on Fargate.
What if it was this? What if it was? Oh, I gotta find that idea. Why? What if the it's just a container that runs when the node comes on? So like the prep node, it runs its
Mhm.
prep application, but before it runs its prep application, it runs this stupid Docker, this Docker container right here.
And then does the registration.
It just registers itself. Why not?
Mm, we can also so running we configure the AMI to run this Docker inside this own instance.
Yeah.
So for that, I think we can just like start sometimes start a script in there, so we don't need Docker also, because we can add these packages inside the AMI.
Oh, yeah, we can totally bake them into with the because we have roles. We have every single tool we need to like do whatever the hell we want. So we can totally add this as a role inside the Packer build for all this stuff. In fact, we're actually we're not staying away, but we're
So after
the prep node. Just to be clear, the prep node we're sort of the cattle pets thing.
yeah, yeah.
So like the prep node we're thinking is more like a pet, and
Mhm.
everything else is cattle. But we need a way to everything like the prep node for testing needs to be obviously like cattle, and that's the main point. And so we're trying to actually, this is an initiative that would be cool if you want to join this. We're trying to make the prep application run as a bunch of Ansible roles because it should be running as close to metal as possible. What do you
Yeah,
think about that?
yeah. But for the period we are running Docker, right?
Yeah, we are, but we can take that. We can get the like. I was an idiot. I was asking the foundation a bunch of times about like if they were gonna, they could just send me the Docker file, and everybody kept on sending me the Docker Compose when I was asking about that. They didn't know what the Docker
Yeah.
file is, right? But like the Docker file, you used to never be able to like if you could take a Docker image and you could decompile it and you would get this crazy garbage to try to like recompile what the Docker file looks like, right? But
Mhm.
now you can run a command like Docker history or something like that, and we can pull out the Docker file from an image really easily. And then with this Docker file, we can just basically take this and put it into a bunch of fancy tools.
But I think that will be more quicker because they are changing Docker files. Like last time or the last week, there was some bug in their Docker, and we have to wait. So I think we should stick to Docker file for now,
Yeah,
and we can after release the official Docker file or some steps, then we can proceed, right?
I think you're
Because
right.
it's,
That's the right
they
way
are
to
more
go.
simple than.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
And on the like the node update part, after the node is registered and after the node comes up and we register, then we don't need like if we run the registration part on the Docker file we are currently showing. So after the registration, we don't need to keep the Docker running or not.
Sorry, what's that?
After after the registration part, we need to keep this Docker running or not. Like if the
No,
registration
no,
part.
no. This one right here, the right, it just needs to happen right before the prep node happens. In fact, I'm like convinced now that's exactly what I need to do. I'm gonna
So
build this
just
container. I'm gonna push it to
just do the
Docker.
registration and
Yeah. So sorry, just to be clear, it's gonna run right here. So this is one of the configurations that we have. Instead of this Nginx container, it's just going to run my container, and then this is going to have like a depends on, and then my container is just going to run and just register itself.
yeah.
Cool, awesome. I'm stoked. That's exactly what I wanted to talk through with you during this call. I didn't know what approach to take. This is perfect.
Yeah, yeah, and another approach will be like running the Fargate. Like if some instance is being initiated, we can call like maybe a lambda function to restart the Fargate container, and after the Fargate container starts off, then we can.
Well, there's no Fargate container in any of this now. We're not going to run Fargate at all. This is just going to
So
be,
this is nice from the Fargate. Then we
yeah,
can just run init container
yeah. We
or the
just run
init.
the container right here.
Yep.
Cool. And then even if we want to get super secure or whatever, we'll build the container actually on the image itself, and then
So this pulls the secrets from the secrets manager or Vault.
that's a big question right now. So right now I mean, it gets down to a protocol level because there's no way to get around this. We need to build a shell script because in the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if it's in Vault. In the end, it needs to come from the host. It should never hit disk, and that's what Vault is really for, right? And so really Vault should the host who runs the prep should be grabbing their secret out of Vault.
We can assign the EC2 role for grabbing the secrets from the vault.
Yeah, we're going to be running the Vault in a different VPC. We have console running right now in our services VPC.
So the console is running on Kubernetes or on a separate EC2 instance?
No, it's on separate EC2 instances.
Okay.
Running on like little T2 micros, and then we're going to run a Vault cluster with T2 micros, and it'll be an HA.
Okay. Okay.
And then we're going to start pushing passwords to there, and then we're going to start integrating single sign-on on top of all of this.
Okay. So for that part, for another project, I was planning like using Vault as whole of the authentication, handling all of the authentication. Like there are dev stage and production, and there are separate login to VPN. So we are trying to get all of those streamlined to a single vault cluster. So yeah.
Yeah, the we're gonna run multiple vault clusters most likely because we're just gonna run a whole like Kubernetes cluster for testing and a Kubernetes cluster for production.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of stuff we're doing with this. This is like, and this could be just for my team and your team. I would love to talk to you about what you guys need because I would like to support both configurations. It's something I've thought a lot about, but you're right. It should, I mean, I don't want to say I don't know if you said if it's right or wrong, but there is a continual paradox as whether or not you want to run a single logging cluster for all your environments and a single vault cluster for all your environments. I think that's what you're asking right now, right?
But yeah, it depends on cases. Like in our case, if we are running a separate vault for separate environment, then we end up adding authentication or the end up adding tags or groups to each user in all of the three environment. So if you can get it centralized, it depends on the architecture or it depends on the requirement. So
Yeah, you're exactly right. It depends on the architecture. So really, like, depends on what secrets you're storing in there and how you're actually gaining authentication to be able to access all your different resources.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so we have a management VPC set up right now. We've got Ansible roles configuring the Bastion host. And then what we're doing with that is we haven't quite nailed that down, but we're probably going to run single sign-on on the Bastion and then do one-time passwords attested through Vault to be able to access everything else. And all that'll
yeah,
happen sort of on the back. It'll all just basically be single sign-on into your Bastion that will then give you a role that you can then
yeah.
SSH into all
So
your boxes, and basically it'll be locked down for like, a couple people or like some very, there'll be governance around all of that. And what I want is RBAC on everything, RBAC and single sign on.
yeah, we need to add the I think there is alt SSS Elcore or some package, so we need to add that on the AMI, and the Bastion or the PWF node or the citizen node just communicates with the vault cluster for generating the single sign-on or the single sign-on username password for the SSS credential
Yeah.
based on the
Yeah.
proper RBAC.
So that's like kind of next week or the week after. It's like I don't want to say it's a low priority, but like I want to make sure that our node is protected with DDoS first, and we have a couple different topologies sort of worked out. We're testing those. I want to get one of these up on testnet ASAP.
So from next week after tomorrow, I have a 1 week of holiday. This is a festive time in Nepal,
Mm-hmm.
so I'll get more time to see on this side. So
Yeah,
if you need,
you got to do the class, the Elasticsearch. It's more than just running a Helm chart, like we have okay, so for Prometheus we have the node exporter and everything like that working, right?
yeah,
And that's going to be built into an Ansible role, and then that's also going to be fed in through some user data. We'll have all kinds of different ways we're going to handle that, right? But the point is that we're going to get metrics pulled out and pumped in Prometheus, right? No problem. The next part is we need to have the Fluentd log agent running properly. We have internal DNS running through console, so it's just a matter of getting service discovery set properly to be able to then set and send logs to our main services Kubernetes cluster that's pulling all, that's doing metrics and
yeah,
logs.
yeah. Okay, then
So
I'll
yeah, okay, what we should have done, okay, next week, let's talk about where we're at, because right now there's just so much in flux right now. Next week
Yeah.
things should definitely settle down, and what we'll have is we'll just spend a session next week going over Kubernetes and setting up Elasticsearch. We'll just get it done.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll try the latest Helm charts on my Kubernetes cluster also, and so it will be more easier for me
Well,
to
yeah, we pretty
see.
much have the same shit going. Do you have Cube2 IAM working? Are you using that?
Yeah, I tried that, but because of some type of like single point of failure, so I stopped using that, and I've been
Really?
using separately separate IAM roles or username password or the like access tokens separately for each service. Because if the
Really?
one port crashes or something like that, so we are failing there. So I don't think it will be a good time for running Keep2IM on production.
Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah.
Can you say that over
So
again? Did you hear me?
yeah,
Can
yeah,
you
yeah.
explain that over again? Can you say that, like, why are you not Cube2 IAM?
Like there was a single pod running for the Q2IM, or we can run, but
Oh, what?
uh, i- if the pod crashes or something like that, for like the architecture for the Q2IM is like all of the requests that goes to the AWS services goes through Q2IM, right?
I didn't know there was a port associated with it.
Last time I tried that, but I'm having a lunch time. Can we continue afterwards, or?
Yeah, you know what, this is good for this week. Let's just pick it up next week.
Yeah.
We have so much shit going on, but you know, Richard will hit you up about Cube2 IAM, because we're leaning on this right now. But if you we're
Yeah.
totally aware of this whole, like, look, this is probably one of the things that we should have talked about. Mostly what I talked about during this call was just talking out some of my ideas about registration, but we're good on that now. But next week, let's circle back on
That's
this, and Richard will hit you up in the meantime about this.
okay.
Send him.
Next week. Yeah.
Can you do me a favor? Can you send Richard just your thoughts on Cube2 IAM and tell him exactly why you think you're not running it in production?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, do that. Send that to Richard, and then next week we'll get Elasticsearch running.
Okay. So next week is Kubernetes week.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Kubernetes week next week. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Sounds good.
Okay. Okay.
And we might have Vault running as well,
Yeah.
but we
Okay.
won't. I don't think we'll get the single sign-on, but Vault will be up.
Yeah, it will take some time.
Yeah,
But
we're moving
we
fast.
can start. Yeah, we can start from like just do a single sign or some easy stuffs for getting AWS credential or something like that.
So right now, just to let you know, the Bastion host is pulling all the public keys off an S3 bucket that we're manually populating. So we have our own, like, you know, bullshit little, like, directory, but it's just keys that are getting populated in the known host, right? And that's how we're getting around through all of our that's how we're getting into everything.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay.
All right,
So
sweet. All right, well, let's talk next week. Thank you so much for joining, Raju. You're the man, and
yeah.
we'll talk soon.
So thank you for, because you are doing a lot in there, and lots of things have been since, and like we are at least clear on what type of architecture we are building. So it's really nice, right?
Yeah, let's work together, man. Let's get this shit done.
Yeah. Okay. So I gotta go.
All right,
So
definitely.
we'll talk to you.
Sounds good. All right, man.
Bye bye.
Bye.